Good morning, y'all. On to the way to the gym right now. It's about 7:30. It is not in the morning, but I will call it morning. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about gratitude and, being grateful for stuff. It's a thought that's been kind of running on my mind the last couple days. And, I've been feeling happier and happier in my day-to-day life. And it's not necessarily because I've escaped what I'm trying to escape or that I've, made it to where I'm trying to be. And that's what most people would think is when you're going to be happy. You're going to be happy about your situation when you get to this point. But, it doesn't always pan out like that exactly. I feel like you've got to enjoy the ride. You've got to be grateful for where you're at, even if you're not to that point you want to be at yet. So we're all chasing goals and we're all trying to get somewhere that we're not right now. And if we do that too fast without taking a look around, we're going to be where we want to be, but we're going to miss where we're at right now. You may not think that's true for you. I think it is, though. You're not going to realize what you'll miss about it until it's gone. This simple or stressful or whatever little life you have now that you're trying to escape, excuse me, this life you have now that you're trying to escape, what is good about it and what might you miss in years to come? What might you look back and say, that wasn't too bad. I enjoyed that part of my life. And just try not to forget that. Try to always stay grateful for what you have around you at any given moment. And it might take some work to really think about what you can be grateful for. But the more you do it, the better you'll be at it. And I think generally being more grateful for what's around you at any given moment is going to make you a better person. It's going to make you a better person to be around for people you're trying to attract into your life. And it's just going to make you happier. What's the point of not feeling joy as much as possible? What's the point of doing any of this if it's not for fun? So try to have fun where you're at now. There's an idea of shut up and grind and do what you got to do to get to where you want to be. And, you got to be such a hard ass and you got to not do anything fun. You got to lock in, right? Lock in, everybody lock in, But at what point do you lose the joy of your life, There's ways to have fun and enjoy the time without ruining what you're working for. There's ways to enjoy what you're going through without losing the possibility of the success at the end of it. And I believe even taking the right steps to have a little more fun along the way is gonna make it even better for you when that success does come. It's gonna make you into a more enjoyable person. Not for other people, but for yourself. It's gonna cultivate your mind into something that's more enjoyable long term. If you can figure out how to have fun wherever you're at, even in the little ways and the little things you can do for yourself, when you reach the point where you want to be, your goal, you'll be so much more able to enjoy it, rather than having been stuck in this mindset of someday I'll be enjoying my life, someday I'll be happy about what I have. That mindset I don't think is gonna carry over into I'm happy with what I have now mindset very easily. Those two don't go one after another like that. You can't just change into it. So start now trying to really cultivate your mind into something that can be grateful for just about anything you have going on. There's a really beautiful quote, and I guess it's multiple quotes. It's kind of more of a speech that's going around on the internet, and the simple way to put it is what a privilege it is. Togi, a bunch of other people on the internet right now are kind of spewing and regurgitating this saying around, and I'm not trying to do too much to add to it, but I just wanted to point out that it really is something beautiful, I think, to always sit there and think what a privilege it is. What a privilege it is to be able to work as hard as I do. What a privilege it is to have the opportunity to do the work that I do. What a privilege it is to be tired from work that I once prayed for. That's the big one that everybody's been saying. Be grateful for where you are and realize what a privilege it is to be where you are. That may not be the case for everybody. I know people are living some hard lives out there, and even if you think this doesn't necessarily apply to you, just take some effort to really try to think about what you can be grateful for, what's around you. You only get one opportunity to be here, and might as well make as much of it as fun as possible. There's some value to the idea of you gotta put your head down and work hard now for the life you want later. But if you're not enjoying it along the way, you may end up so stubborn in your mind that you can't enjoy the life you worked for either. I think we see that a lot in people that have, big careers. They have big jobs that they do. They're the head of some big company, whatever. Or they seem to be pretty miserable people sometimes. Some of them don't hold the gratitude for their life that we all think they should. And I don't think that happens on accident. I don't think that they're just so hard-headed that they don't get it. I think they conditioned themselves through a life of living that way to not accept how good things are, always thinking of what's next and what's better, and not being grateful for just what you're in right now. And if you're a person who looks at people like that and thinks you should be more grateful, then that just means that you are starting on the right side of it. You, in the beginning of your journey, are on the right side of the fence with that. And if you can hold that mindset of, should be grateful for what we have, you're not going to turn into that. So just take a look around you once in a while, smell the flowers, try to smile about life. If you're not belly laughing with tears in your eyes at least a few times a day, what are you doing with yourself, man? Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you don't get a lot of laughs out of a day. Sometimes things get tough. Loss happens and big life-altering events happen. But even in those moments, try to laugh a little bit. Try to enjoy it. I can find myself getting a little too serious about everything. Getting a little too caught up and forgetting that this is all, it's all constructed by our minds. It's not real, the life we live. It's not. Everything we've seen in our lives growing up, watching movies and TV and seeing the media, reading books, we get this idea of what the world is and how things are supposed to go. And I just don't think it's super accurate, because I don't think there is an accurate depiction of what life is for us. I don't think there's a real straight up answer for what the meaning of this all is to everybody. I don't think there's a straight up answer for how this is supposed to be done. So, take your own path, live your life the way that you feel best about, whatever makes you the happiest. As long as you are not hurting anybody else in the process, whatever makes you happiest is what's best for everything, The more people out there in the world that we can individually decide to be happier for ourselves, we're just going to make a happier world to live in. And I think it's contagious to a point. The more of the world around you see being a little more happy, a little more lighthearted, the more you're going to pick that up. And quicker even than yesterday. I didn't have really a big idea of what to talk about there. I just wanted to simply put that out into the world for everybody and just tell everybody to remember to be grateful. I can forget to sometimes, and every time I forget to is when my life is less enjoyable for me. I start having a lot more fun and enjoying my life a lot more, no matter where I'm at, when I start to be grateful for what I have around me. Be grateful for everything around you. Just remember that it's all there for you. Everything in your life is meant to be in your life for you. It's up to you to decide whether you want to keep it, embrace it, push it away. But just remember, it's all for you. Everybody's individual life, it's set up for you. And enjoy what you can out of it. Remember to pick out what's not enjoyable, pick out the things that aren't good for you, that are hurtful to you. And, you don't have to embrace all that. But remember to sift through everything that's happening to you once in a while and try to pick out what's good about it and hold on to that and embrace it. And, that's all I'm going to say there. I'm not going to keep going on too long about that. I'm a professional D1 level yapper. I can go and go and go. And I just kind of want to make these videos a little more simple, a little more concise. But my train of thought runs a little wilder. So I think that was a good little segment there. Just going to leave it at that. And we're going to start talking about what we're doing in the gym today. It's a back day again. And last back day, I attempted to do some regular pull-ups. I was able to get about 5 decent ones. I think I can do more than that this week. I think, hopefully, if everything's been going right with my training and my dieting, I should be getting stronger. So I'm going to try to do more pull-ups this week. Once we're tired off of those, we'll head over and I want to hit the chest-supported row. A little more upper back focused. And then I think we'll finish off with some just good lat pull-down sets. Really getting the lats fired, and that'll be a back day, I think. I've done a lot of back days where I'm kind of all over the place. Back day is a really enjoyable day for me. I really like the feeling of activating the muscles in that context, and I like trying new machines and bouncing around and hitting different parts of the back. And I can tend to overcomplicate it, which some of you might relate to. I'm just going to really try to keep it simple today. I only want to do about 2 or 3 exercises and just try to get more consistent sets on those exercises. And I think that's going to be better for the back growth. It's a little later at night tonight, so hopefully we can get some more filming in the gym. I'd like to be able to actually kind of talk to the camera while I'm in there working out, so if the gym's empty enough, we'll go ahead and try that. Still a little self-conscious about talking to myself in the gym. A lot of people don't understand what you're doing. It's not about the judgment of, oh, look at that guy filming himself trying to be a YouTuber, but it's the people that don't understand what you're doing, and they're just looking at you like, why the fuck is that guy talking to himself? But maybe I gotta let that go. It's all about the journey of learning confidence and learning to forget what everyone else is saying, so maybe that can be a step I can take today to better myself. That could be a step towards me being more confident and being a little more comfortable in my shoes. So we'll try that, see what we can do. I got some pre-workout to finish here and just got a little bit left in my drive, so I think I can put on some tunes and get hyped up before I send myself in. So I think that sounds like a good pre-car talk from there. I'll see you guys in the gym and after. Alrighty, folks, that there was a very nice back day. So let's recap. Was only able to film one set. A lot of people in there. Some people look like teenagers and shit. I'm not trying to film them, so keeping the camera down today. So what did we do? Started off with some pull-ups. I was able to get a good set of about 6 or 7. Fuck you. Good set of about 6 or 7 on there. And then we put on some assist and repped out a couple more sets like that. Really trying to get the full contraction and really hold and then squeeze all the way down. Feeling stronger, so something's working. Then we went on and did some of chest supported rows. That's what I ended up getting a video of one set of those, and then onto some pull downs with the mag grip, and then another couple sets of pull downs with the straight bar, really wide grip, really getting that. I don't know how to describe it. So yeah, that was pretty good. Felt really good through that, and then hit some more trap focused rows on one of the hammer strength machines. So a little more variety than I was intending to, but just kind of I follow what my body feels. I follow what part of my back feels like it needs to be pumped and needs to be worked. So I just kind of go with the flow. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. I haven't looked at the pump check yet, but it felt pretty nasty. You will have already seen it there. That was a pretty good gym session. Can't complain about any of it. Kind of back to what I was talking about before, just being grateful for where you're at. You can get discouraged sometimes seeing how far everybody else has made it, and you can start to develop this idea that everyone else is doing so much better than you, but it's all a work in progress, right? We're all getting there at some point. So just remember to be grateful for where you're at now. If you say, for instance, if you can only do 5 or 6 pull-ups consistently, and the guy next to you can do sets of 10 with some weight added, comparison is the thief of joy, because be grateful that you can do any. Be grateful that you're able to get into the gym and actually work. Be grateful that your body functions and you're not paralyzed. Things like that. You just gotta break down everything you do in a day and really pinpoint, well, what could be worse about this? What could really, and how good do I really have it, even when I think I don't? Even when I'm comparing myself to everybody else and getting down on myself about where I'm at, what can I remind myself that I am doing good today? And it's all a mental game. I'm learning the longer and longer I work on myself and work on trying to get better, it's all up in your head, man. It's all mental. You gotta start being in control of your own mind and choosing what you spend time thinking about. And it's a hard process, and it takes a lot of time and effort. And you get this idea in your head that you can flip that switch overnight, but you just can't. I've tried for years to flip that switch and to try to change my mentality and be more positive, and every time it felt like it spiraled back into the same place where I was back to square one. I was back to doing the things I shouldn't do. I was back to hurting myself and wasting my time. And like I said in the last video, it wasn't good for me or the people around me. I've hurt a lot of people along the way of my life, and I can't coin any of it to anything else but the fact that I've been insecure and in pain about where I'm at in my life the whole time. That's what it's always been, And coming to a point where I can change that is really what's making a difference for me. I'm finally starting to feel like I'm proud of where I'm at, and I'm really doing good and working hard to be where I want to be. And once that feeling came into my mind, where I really felt like that, everyone else started to fall away in my mind. Other people stopped mattering. And that may sound bad to some people, but that's the best thing possible for me. My whole life, everybody else but me is what's mattered to me. Somebody who knows me is probably watching this being like, oh, fuck off, he's full of himself, he doesn't know what he's fucking talking about. But really, I've spent so much time and energy worried about what everyone else thinks and feels, and always trying to box myself into their ideals. And once I started caring about myself seriously and loving myself seriously, all that falls away. I couldn't care less about anybody else anymore, and in a good way. I'm still capable of love, I'm still capable of having connection, but not to the extent I did before, and not to the weight I did before. Some of my connections in the past have weighed so heavy on me that, I felt like my whole world was crashing down and I was gonna die over some stupid jealousy, over some girl, over something, whatever. And I've hurt so many people because of that, because of my own insecurity and my own weight on my chest that I've made for myself about everybody else. This is a pretty deep rant. I kind of just got going here, but we're putting this in the video. I want people to understand this. I feel like I've finally reframed my mind, and I'm comfortable in my own skin. I'm not comparing myself to everybody else anymore, and I'm not worried about everyone else comparing me to somebody else. It's been the bane of my existence for so long, is that fear and that insecurity that someone's better than me, someone's gonna show me up, someone's gonna steal my girl, what the fuck ever. What has it gotten me? I think honestly that mindset is what destroyed my whole life a couple years ago and put me to where I am now. Like I said, I'm where I'm supposed to be. I went through what I was supposed to, but you wish you could have changed your mind a little sooner, right? You wish you could have figured stuff out before you destroyed everything you had. But if I still had everything I had before, I wouldn't have the dreams I have now. I wouldn't have the drive I have now. Losing everything really changes something in you that makes you realize that you want to chase the right things. When everything you think you wanted for your life falls away, that's when you can start to focus on what you really do want for your life. Had to wipe the slate clean, wipe down the board, and rewrite my story from start, and that's really what the best thing for me was. I wasn't going to make it through my life any other way, and I was just going to keep hurting everybody. This is kind of a self-therapy talk. Doesn't exactly relate to the first half of the video, but we're putting it out there. This is real, honest, straight-up content. Too much of the internet is filled with people trying to disguise how they think and how they are, and trying to display themselves in a certain way, and I just can't do that. I can't take the easy, cheap route on the internet and just act like I'm something I'm not. Not exactly. This is real, kind of brutal, straight up content talking about the feelings of fucking what life does to you and how you feel about life. And hopefully I can help somebody else kind of reframe it in their mind as well. Remember to feel grateful about where you're at. Remember to love yourself and care for yourself. Otherwise you're going to hate everybody else, and there's not much more to that. I feel a little embarrassed everything I just said here, and I'm gonna post it anyways. I know I need to, but just being clear and honest about how it feels to say some of this stuff, it wasn't exactly enjoyable. I kind of felt cringy throughout the whole thing, but I think it's the only way I'm gonna achieve my goals, is just through pure honesty, pure straight up upfront mentality, not hiding nothing, not trying to be covert, just explaining what I really think about. So, I mean, it just feels so unfinished. I feel like I said so much stuff. I'm gonna stop rambling. We're gonna wind down this video and get back to square one. I'm gonna recap it. Be grateful. Start to love yourself. Start to care about yourself above everybody else, and that's when things are gonna fall into place for you. Do something to make yourself better. Keep pushing. Keep growing. Forget about what they think. You know, I'm at a little bit of a loss for words as to how to finish this video. I feel like I need something to kind of wrap it up in an appealing way, but there really is no appealing way. That was kind of just a dump of my feelings, and you know, I appreciate anybody who watched and listened to it. So I'm gonna wrap up this video here. It feels a little incomplete, but you know, it's early on in the journey, and I just gotta start kind of throwing shit at the wall, you know, hope it sticks. So I'm gonna keep trying, keep pushing at this, keep making videos no matter how weird it feels, and I'll get somewhere someday. You will too. So catch y'all later. Y'all have a good night. I'm gonna jam out for the ride home and enjoy myself. Thank y'all for watching.